apologize if I'm late to to this review. I know the Last of Us finale dropped on Sunday, but I was on vacation, and so I haven't been able to upload. I know today's Friday. I'm hoping that I'm uploading it on Friday. So happy Friday to everyone watching. So I'm gonna spoil this review, but I will give a bit of a basics. I love the Last of Us game. Back in 2020, when Last of Us Part 2 was coming out, I remember there was so much controversy around it. I heard everyone talking about it, but I had never heard of the video game Last of Us. So I remember one of my friends, he was playing Last of Us Part 2. I was watching his gameplay and I thought, damn, this looks good. I've never been much of a gamer. A lot of people know this. I've played the Arkham Knight games, the Spider-Man games, but my favorite video game of all time is FIFA. Anytime I say that, every gamer looks at me and thinks, the heck, this guy isn't a real gamer. So I remember he was like, hey, Last of Us is a really good game. I know you're not into really all that storytelling kind of games all that much. I'm also somebody who struggles to game for a long time, so I don't really play story mode games. At most, I will game like an hour a day, realistically. Uh, but yeah, I played the Last of Us game. I loved it. It was, to me, one of the greatest games I played. And I think it was the greatest story I had ever played. I played the Arkham games, the Spider-Man games, Grand Theft Auto 5, obviously, everyone knows that. But The Last of Us just caught me off guard with how good it is. Then I played part two, and it was another masterpiece. So when I heard there was a show, it got me excited. Now that I've seen all episodes of The Last of Us, I'm going to say this straight up. It is the greatest video game live action adaptation of all time. I don't think anything has come close. And the thing is, Mario is about to come out. I'm excited for the Mario movie. The Mario movie is one of my most anticipated films of the year, behind Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 and The Flash, but Mario's up there in my most anticipated. However, I don't think it's going to catch The Last of Us, and that's okay, because The Last of Us and Mario are completely different games. Like, even comparing them is so much of a stretch. But I think of all the video game movies we've had, Detective Pikachu, Mortal Kombat, Sonic, whatever, Tomb Raider, whatever. And I think none of them are even close to masterpiece. I use that word very, very rarely, because masterpiece is something only very few things can actually be called. There's a reason why that word's very used, because there's not a lot of things that are, or I mean, there is a lot, but it's not the app. Like, you shouldn't go to a movie or show thinking this is going to be a masterpiece. You should go in hoping it is, but don't think it is immediately. Uh, but I watched it, and every episode completely got you off guard. It was beautiful. It was tragic. Emotions were portrayed in every episode. A lot of you guys saw me like after episode 3. To me, episode 3 is one of the most emotionally gut-wrenching episodes of television I've seen in my entire life. The whole Bill and Frank story, and the fact that they went so accurate to the video game, was very shocking. And the thing is, and I'll say this right now, I think this, story-wise, this show is better than the game story-wise, because I felt like this took what the games had but added more. You added more layers. For example, Bill in the games was more of a kind of funny, annoyed guy who is mad at Ellie and Joel for disrupting the peace. In the show, you see more of his romance with Frank, what it means to him being this isolated, apocalyptic guy. And then to finally have somebody enter his life, I thought that was more beautiful, right? And I think the show had more like, for example, when you saw Ellie's mom getting bit, I thought that added more layers to the story. But for the most part, it's very accurate and added more to the story. Now, the thing is, what I appreciate, I'll say my only criticism of the show is that there is moments where the characters were walking, and in my mind, I kept thinking, man, I wish I was the one controlling them. Because obviously, when you play the games, you control them. You can go as Joel. You can collect things you find, whether it's band-aids, food, supplies, bullets, guns, whatever. And I remember there was moments in the show where I was like, man, I want to control, because I want to look what's in that car, what's in that car, what's in there. Like, I kept having that in mind, because at the end of the day, this is based on a video game, right? And I think really it depends on what you're more into. If you're a gamer, you're always going to prefer The Last of Us game. If you're into watching movies and shows, you're always going to prefer the show or movie. And I personally still prefer the show because I'm more of a TV movie guy. While I like gaming, I'm not I'm not really very good at, like, I just don't like gaming for an hour, right? I'm just not much of a gamer. And so to me, the show strikes me better because it's a narrative story that I get to follow along instead of me having to control everything with the PlayStation controller. No disrespect, it's just how I feel, right? Uh, but this finale was, I remember I looked at the runtime and it said 48 minutes. Now, so again, like I said, I'm not a big gamer. So when I played the games, these missions have taken me hours. It's taken me days. I remember that final battle, which now we're gonna get into spoilers. Joel is shooting down all the military guys, all the fireflies in the hospital. That mission took me like 3 days to finish because I just suck that much at gaming, right? And so when I saw the runtime, I didn't put that in my mind, but I was like, really? They're going to do this entire finale in 15 minutes? Because along the way, all I kept thinking is, aren't you going to show them going into, like, walking around? Aren't you going to show them get on that bus? Because there's a scene in the video game where they get trapped in the bus, water everywhere, and then eventually the fireflies come pick them up, right? And still went accurate. You had the draft scene. The draft scene was pretty accurate. Walking for a bit was accurate. The background looked accurate. Then eventually the finale. And when they showed you the whole montage of Joel going ruthless, and that's the thing that I like about the show. It's really a show about love, but it's not just because what I don't like about movies and shows is 99% of the time when love is portrayed, they always show love as it's only a good thing. Like, love is so good and love can never be bad. But what I like about this show is that they kind of turned it around and made love a bad thing. This finale, I don't care what anyone says. When you look at it in an objective lens, Joel did something bad. He is a bad guy. But what I like about the finale is same as the game. It is a what I call a $1,000,000 baby kind of complex finale. It is a finale that gets you second guessing the choice. It makes you confused. It allows you to think, okay, if you went this route, this, and that. If you went that route, this, and this, and that. And the thing is, I remember when I played the game, uh, and I had for like 2 years, I thought, Joel's the bad guy. He is evil. But when you reel it in and look at it at his perspective, you're reminded that this is a guy who lost his daughter, and now he has his new daughter. And he knows very well that now he has a second chance. He has a chance to fight back and protect his new daughter. And he does it. And while I don't have kids of my own, I kind of use my nephews as an example. And I thought, if my nephews died for something like this, would I be willing to do it? And in my mind, I kept saying, no, I wouldn't. Right? I'd rather let myself die than them. And when I look at it that way, I feel more for Joel. But I think that's so perfect what Naughty Dog did. And they did it so perfect to portray it in the show that it's not an easy decision. It's a difficult decision. And it's why I think The Last of Us is a masterpiece. Because every episode wasn't just this black and white, oh, we're good, we're bad. It was this morally complex story. Joel was never a good guy. You found out he murdered, he killed. Even when he kills people and he interrogates them, he brutally makes sure that they are dead. No chance. And I think that's what the show did so perfect. Joel is not a black and white character. He's a morally complex gray character, right? Same thing with Ellie. Same thing with almost nearly every character you come across in this show, right? I thought every episode portrayed, because the thing is, Last of Us was never a show about zombies or clickers or whatever, or people being infected. It was always a story about humanity, the good in humanity, the bad in humanity. And I think that's what Last of Us was always about. And I think this show portrayed it so perfect. And at the end of the day, I've never seen a better adaptation for a video game. And it's not just because they went accurate. It's not just because, it's not just because they went accurate. It's not because of this and that. It's the main reason why this show succeeded so well for me is it took what the story meant and did that and used that to its advantage and made sure that not just the video gamers would love this, but everyone else would love it. and they created a great story around that premise. And I gotta respect them. Hands off to everyone who worked on it. Bella Ramsey, Pedro Pascal, everyone that worked on behind the scenes. Phenomenal show. I cannot wait for season 2. I know very well that season 2 is gonna be the most talked about television show, at least when it comes out. Especially, I won't spoil Last of Us Part 2, but there's a specific thing that happens in that game that once that episode releases, it is going to be the most talked about show for a period of time. Right? But anyways, that's it for my Last of Us review. Expect a Shazam Fury of the Gods review tomorrow in the afternoon. I'm going to be uploading much more often. Again, I was on vacation. And yeah, see you on the next one.
Where do you go to? Where do you go? Where do you go to? I wanna know. How do you do it? That thing you do. Follow you blindly, I'll be your fool. Cinderella, yeah. I think I'll find your glass slipper, baby.